The transport ship descended through Earth's atmosphere with the grace of a falling stone. Inside, Captain Marcus Webb gripped his seat as the vessel shuddered, its alien pilot compensating for the unfamiliar gravity. Beside him sat a small figure wrapped in a thermal blanket, her eyes too large for her face, her skin the color of morning mist. "Almost there," Marcus said, though he wasn't sure if she understood. The girl, who called herself Nira, had been found drifting in a damaged escape pod near the Saturn relay. No distress beacon, no identification, just a child alone in the void. The recovery team had brought her aboard the research station, where she'd spoken her first and only words in broken standard, looking for father. Human father. That had been 3 weeks ago. Now Marcus watched as Earth grew larger in the viewport. He'd volunteered to bring her down personally, to help search for whatever impossible answer she sought. The brass had approved it, probably because nobody else wanted the headache. How do you find one human among 8 billion when your only witness is a child who speaks 20 words of standard and draws pictures of faces she can't quite remember? The ship touched down at Geneva Port just after dawn. Marcus led Nira down the ramp, her small hand clutching his sleeve. She wore human clothes now, donated by the station crew, and if you didn't look too closely at her eyes or the slight shimmer of her skin, you might mistake her for just another kid. The Port Authority officer was less convinced. "Captain Webb, this is highly irregular," Director Hassan said, her tablet already filling with forms. "We have protocols for first contact situations, quarantine procedures, diplomatic channels." "She's not first contact," Marcus replied. "She's looking for someone." "Looking for whom?" "We've run her DNA against every human database. Nothing. Her language patterns suggest she learned standard from someone." "Yes, but that could be anyone from anywhere." Hassan's expression softened slightly as she looked at Nira. "The child needs proper care, not a wild chase across the planet." Nira tugged Marcus's sleeve. "Go now. Find father." Hassan sighed. "You have 2 weeks, Captain. Then she goes into proper foster care while we sort this out through official channels. 2 weeks to search a planet." They started with the obvious places. Marcus took her to the Astronaut Memorial in Houston, where the names of every human who died in space were etched in black stone. Nira walked along the wall, her fingers trailing over the letters, sounding out names in a whisper. "Not here," she said finally. They went to the Colonial Registry in Brussels, where records of every human who'd ever left Earth were stored. Nira looked at faces on screens for hours, her head shaking slowly, consistently. "Not these," she said. Marcus began to understand the shape of her loss. She'd known her father, had memories of him, but they were fragmenting like old photographs left in sunlight. She could recall the feeling of safety, the sound of laughter, the smell of coffee in the morning. But faces blurred, names slipped away like water through fingers. On the 5th day, they were in Tokyo when Nira suddenly stopped walking. They were passing through a crowded market, the air thick with the smell of cooking food and the chatter of 1,000 conversations. She stood perfectly still, her head tilted like a dog catching a scent. "Music," she whispered. Marcus listened. Somewhere in the chaos, someone was playing a guitar, the notes climbing and falling in a pattern that seemed familiar yet strange. Nira moved toward it, pulling Marcus through the crowd until they found the source. An old man sat on a folding chair, his guitar battered and worn, his fingers dancing across the strings. His skin was dark and weathered, his eyes clouded with age, but his playing was perfect. Nira stood before him, tears streaming down her face. "This song." Father played this song. The old man stopped playing, looking at the strange child before him. "What song is this, little one?" "Not no name." But father played. Every night. Before sleeping. Marcus crouched beside her. "Can you describe your father?" What did he look like? Nira's face scrunched in concentration. Tall, brown skin, big hands, always singing. He said humans sing when happy and sing when sad. Singing for everything. The old man smiled. That sounds like a spacer. They always loved music out there in the black. Nothing else to do but sing. He started playing again, this time a different melody. This was popular with the colony ships, the ones that left 20 years back. Is this it? Nira shook her head. They tried others. With each failed recognition, Marcus felt the weight of impossibility growing heavier. How many humans had gone to space in the last 50 years? How many had traveled beyond the relay points into unexplored sectors? How many had never come back? The old musician finally played something slower, sadder, just 5 notes repeating. This one's older. My father taught it to me. Said it came from Earth before the big stations. Nira gasped. Yes, this one. Marcus felt his pulse quicken. That helps narrow it down. Can you remember anything else? Did your father ever mention where he was from? Any names of places or people? Nira closed her eyes. He said, home has big water, salt water, and birds. White birds that scream and steal food. He laughed about birds. Coastal region, Marcus muttered, pulling out his tablet. That's still too broad. He looked at Nira. Did he ever mention what he did? His job? He fixed things. Always fixing. He said humans good at fixing, not so good at not breaking. An engineer. Colonial engineer, probably. Someone who'd gone out on the early missions when they were still establishing the relay network. Marcus started searching databases, cross-referencing engineers with coastal origins who'd served on colony ships 20 to 25 years ago. The list was still thousands of names long. They spent the next week following leads. Marcus showed Nira pictures, played her recordings of voices, took her to places that colonial engineers might have mentioned to a daughter. Each time, she'd study them with heartbreaking intensity, then shake her head. Not right, she'd say. On the 13th day, with only 24 hours left, Marcus found himself in a small cafe in Cape Town, staring at his tablet with burning eyes. Beside him, Nira drew pictures on a napkin, her version of memories. A man with a wrench. A ship with wings. A planet with 3 moons. 3 moons, Marcus said suddenly. Nira, are you sure about 3 moons? She nodded. Home had 3 moons. Father said they danced in sky. Marcus searched orbital mechanics data. Only a handful of colonies had triple moon systems. He filtered his list of engineers. 50 names. He started making calls. The first 43 led nowhere. Wrong age, wrong specialty, wrong everything. Some had died. Some had never left Earth despite their records. Some had alien families, but no human hybrid children. The 44th call connected to a communications hub in the Kepler sector. James Rivera, the voice on the other end said. Who's asking? Marcus explained as quickly as he could. The man on the other end was silent for a long moment. I served on the colony ship Meridian, Rivera said finally. Departed Earth 22 years ago. We established a station in the Antares sector, near a planet with 3 moons. But I came back 7 years ago. I never had children. Did you know anyone there who might have? Someone who sang? Who fixed things? Another pause. There was a guy, David Torres. He stayed when most of us rotated out. Met someone local from one of the indigenous populations. Last I heard, he was still there. Marcus felt his heart hammering. Torres, from where on Earth? Galveston. Used to talk about the seagulls. Marcus looked at Nira, who had stopped drawing and was staring at him with those 2 large eyes. David Torres, Marcus said softly. Does that name mean anything to you? Nira's face transformed. David, Papa David, yes. It took another 6 hours to establish contact with the Antares sector. The relay was old, the connection poor, but eventually a face appeared on the screen. Dark skin, weathered by years of colonial life, big hands that gripped the edge of his console. And behind him, barely visible, a woman with shimmering skin and eyes too large for her face. This is David Torres, the man said, his voice crackling with distance and desperation. Please, if you've found her, if she's alive, please tell me. Marcus turned the tablet so Nira could see. The girl's face crumpled. Papa. The man on the screen made a sound that wasn't quite a word. Nira, baby girl? I thought we'd lost you. The evacuation, the attack, we couldn't find you. Looking for you, Nira whispered. Asked everyone. Are you my father? Asked and asked. I'm here, baby. I'm coming to get you. Just hold on. Marcus stepped away, giving them privacy. Through the cafe window, he could see the sun setting over Cape Town, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Somewhere out in the black, a colony ship would be preparing to jump, racing across light years to retrieve a lost daughter. Humanity had built engines that could break the speed of light, had colonized dozens of worlds, had made contact with hundreds of alien species. They built wonders and solved impossible problems. But in the end, it took a child walking up to strangers and asking a simple question. Are you my father? And it took humans doing what humans did best, refusing to stop looking until they found the answer.